Hello Internet, I'm Zahn, and welcome to another Let's Play. As you can see from the title screen here, the game we're going to be playing through in this session is called Milon's Secret Castle on NES. This game was produced by Hudson in 1987, and it's probably not what I would consider one of the classics of the NES library. If anything, this game's developed a sort of notorious legacy thanks to, once again, the angry video game nerd. He did a video on this game way back, and I think that sort of got people's attention since it was not the most well-known, somewhat obscure, but as it relates to his criticisms of the game, as we'll see, I do think this game is pretty flawed, and its biggest flaw, I would say, is its cryptic nature, very much like Castlevania 2. The mechanics of the game are okay, and the presentation of the game is fine, but if you don't know what to do, this game is extremely confusing and frustrating, and it's pretty difficult as well. Now, I haven't played through this game in a while. I have beaten it. It's been quite some time. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a full Let's Play, not a quick look. We'll see how this goes, but I think we can go ahead and get started and just jump in, and I'll sort of explain what the game's about. So right away, we're dropped into the main overworld area of the game. The character we control is this little blue elf guy. His name is Milon. And my understanding of the story is this magical kingdom, I think the castle's name is Garland, is under attack by a wizard who kidnaps a princess. And as you can see, if we dawdle too much on the main castle screen, then start shooting lightning at us, so we'll duck into the first door. So this game, and I'm not on a time limit, so I can pause here and sort of explain what's going on, assuming I don't die by flying fish. The castle has different rooms or doors, and each door is a dungeon. And the point of the dungeon is to collect all the items, collect money, and proceed to the next door, and ultimately proceed to the boss. And to describe the controls, Milon, he has this weird sort of dash that builds up the longer you're hitting a direction. A jumps per normal, B shoots bubbles. His main form of attack is, I think his only form of attack in the game actually, is shooting bubbles. The umbrella gives his shot rapid fire, I think temporarily. The enemies sort of phase in and phase out and respawn infinitely. Those little blue dots are where they pop in and out. And that's basically it for the mechanics. So, like I mentioned before, and I'll probably mention more as we go, they don't really give you any sort of guidance. You're dropped into the game. There isn't even an opening story crawl. I think you have to read the manual to get the quote-unquote lore from the game. And basically they tell you nothing, so unless you've either read a Nintendo Power or watched someone play the game all the way through, you won't know where your objectives are in each of these rooms or dungeons. So I definitely think that's one of the faults. Nobody really likes being kind of stuck wandering, trying to figure out where to go, so I definitely think it's a fair criticism. Unfortunately, we'll see how good my memory is. I think I remember where most of the stuff is, so we should be able to proceed. So some of the blocks Milon can shoot with his bubbles, and they'll either be destroyed or they'll leave behind money, these dollar symbols. And up in the upper left, that's my grand total of cash, which I'll use to buy special items. So if I just nudge that block for a few seconds, it moves, and shooting the empty space gives me a door. Again, you never would know that unless you read it somewhere or just happened to find it by accident. So this is a shop. If I need to come back here with some money so I can get those shoes. But hints, bump head to find box. That's not very helpful. Secret entrance in the front wall. Again, that's also not very helpful, since you won't even understand what that means until a little bit later once you get a certain item. So let's keep exploring here. These sort of springboards will come in handy in a sec. I need those shoe items in order to use them. So my main goal here is to get enough money to buy the shoes, and anything extra we'll take into the next zone. And I gotta do all this without dying, since there are no continues technically in this game. The Hudson Bee that I just collected there gives me a shield, which keeps me from taking damage, but if I take too many hits, then it'll go away. And that key is how I get out of here. And as far as I can tell, it just shows up randomly after you either kill enough enemies or break enough blocks. And it doesn't show up in the same spot every time, I don't think. But the flashing key symbol in the upper right means I've got it, so I can leave as soon as I find the exit door, which conveniently is right there. Again, unless you are just running around randomly shooting things, chances are you're not going to find that on your own, which I think is not good for a game where the player doesn't have any sort of direction. Most of the things that I've read from people said that once you know how to play the game and you know what to do, then it's pretty fun and the mechanics are straightforward. But I remember we had this on the Nintendo way back in the day too, and I think just through sheer trial and error and or Nintendo Power articles we figured out where to go, but I didn't beat this game till much later. I definitely didn't beat it back in the day. It was kind of just one of those relics of the NES library that we never really beat. Okay, so I'm gonna keep moving around. The reason why I'm trying to farm up hearts is once my life is full and I get a heart, it powers the shield up so it can take more hits, which is important, especially when I get to a boss. And this here is the honeycomb. There's one of these per castle room, and those are a life max up. It gives you one more pip of health, which is really good. Especially when you get to the end of the game and stuff starts doing a ton of damage, you want to be able to take hits. I'm going to try and keep the shield as long as possible, but as we'll see, once I eventually get to a boss, this game doesn't really mess around. So the bump head to find box hint from the store is talking about this thing. In each dungeon room or castle room, there's a music box, and music box is a bonus game where you can earn money. Sort of inexplicably, I think the manual says the kingdom that Milon's trying to save uses music as their language, and I think he's special in that he has no songs or he has no instrument. So we're here on the staff, and regular notes and sharps are points. The flats subtract points, so I want to avoid those. The sharps give me 2, and the regular notes give me 1. And my cash bonus at the end is determined by how much I collect. So 33 notes is alright, and it gives me, what was that, $8? But I'll take everything I can get since I'm trying to buy some fancy new shoes for 16. Jump higher where springs are set. And then I could take the rest with me to the next room of the castle. So those shoes allow me to interact with those springboards and jump higher, which will help me out later. That'll be useful. But other than that, once we've collected all the cash, that's it for this area, then we can leave. So the castle is still stormy. I can't destroy those lightning bolts, so I'm gonna just try and proceed without taking damage. Here's another hint. Hint/shop. Crystal has mysterious power. Those little circles next to the dude up in the right corner are the crystals. That'll come into play once I actually fight the bosses. Find a saw. That is not a very helpful hint. I will find a saw eventually, but other than that, it's not too helpful. So the medicine, shrink when you touch the glove. I will demonstrate that in a sec. I believe next room is here. That window is actually the boss. Oh man. Okay. So this is the next room on this floor of the castle. And I took damage, so I need to get some hearts and power my shield back up or I'm going to lose it here. Have to be careful. I really want to have that shield going into the boss, or it's gonna be rough. Ah, and it's about to get a heart too. There's another Hudson Beast somewhere in this level, but I gotta try and remember where it is. I think it's on this next section. Another thing that's somewhat cheap about this game. Oh boy. One, there's no hit stun, so the enemies can do that. Two, the enemies can spawn in right on top of you, like that. Okay, well that's our first game over.